It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Come on.
All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 125. Today is the 29th of March, 2017, and we've got almost the full group here, so we'll go around and do what we do. I'll start off with Bradley today. How's it going, man?
Hey, man. I'm glad to be here. Got a lot of really good questions on the page already, so looking forward to it.
Cool deal. Marco, how you doing?
Hey, man. Good to be here. I was just, it just hit me when you said 125. We actually have 125 hours of free stuff on our YouTube channel. All people have to do is go to our YouTube channel, use the channel search, right, for anything that they're looking for, and we probably already answered the question. How good is that?
Mm-hmm. That's 125. That's 125 hours of just Hump Day Hangout content, because there's a lot of hours of other content as well.
That's true. That's true. All right, Hernan, how's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. 125. It's a great number, and also, I'm excited because, well, we've had a great testimonial early, so it's good to see that all of these hours, we're pumping out and we are dedicating a bunch of work to Semantic Mastery, but it's actually getting great results to students. So I'm really excited to see those kind of things. And,
Why don't you tell people? But we said we're not going to tell by name, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit, like the outline of what we just found out this morning?
Yeah, sure. We got a message from one of our students telling us, an actual business income, like a real screenshot. It's a bank statement actually about making 1 year of SEO. So it's add up. I think it adds up to 100.
Just under 140K.
Yeah, just under 140K for the last year. So that's pretty amazing. So I think that, and that's, and he's saying, well, of course he's taking action. He's taking massive action. He's, moving forward, closing clients, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's amazing. But also it's kind of what we're trying to do here. It's funny because you're out there trying to put a lot of content, make the best that you can do, and trying to actually impact lives and change lives, and that's something that I really like seeing.
Yeah,
it's great to see 2015 about 21K, 2016 about 140K, and he says, "I love you guys." It's all from SEO work. That's amazing.
No, but the interesting thing is, this isn't an agency. This isn't an SEO guy doing SEO for somebody else. This is a guy who took our stuff and applied it to his own business. And is making this kind of money. He's in a major metropolitan area, but he applied it to his business, grew his business, doing his own. This is amazing to me. This is an amazing. I see this, and the possibilities for you guys, for everyone listening. They're endless, because we just keep finding new ways to make ranking easier. They tell you it's harder. Google tells you so much shit, and you guys believe it. And I'm like, please don't make that your mantra. Google said so. If they said so, you'd go and do the opposite and see what happens.
That's right.
Yeah. And for the record, just want to say that this is one of our mastermind members. But if you're listening and you're somewhat newer to Semantic Mastery, or you're just coming across us, please check out the Syndication Academy. That's a great place to get started, combined with the Hump Day Hangouts. So I'll pop the link on the page in a minute. And then, excuse me, quick review of the last week. We did want to say that the Live Rank Sniper replay is still available. That was the webinar with Peter Drew. A lot of people really into that, popped in their toolbox and having some cool results. So by all means, go check out the replay. Again, that's just a free replay. We're going to put that on there, some really good information. And then tomorrow, go ahead.
You mind if I jump in on that for a minute, Adam?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I need to post
you mentioned Syndication Academy. That's really simple, guys. For those of you that are new, so you don't have to go searching for it. It's syndication.academy. So very, very simple. Okay, as far as LiveRank Sniper, awesome product. I mean, it really is. It's so simple to use, and it's great for identifying keywords that you can rank for very easily. And so, you know, I like it a lot. I've been using it a lot. I added several case studies as a bonus to anybody that had purchased. And that case study is pretty much done. I've got one more video to add still to the bonus site. Guys, if you haven't checked the bonus site for a couple of days, go back and check it again, because I added more another training or another case study update video yesterday. Anyways, I got one more to do, which is going to be like, I'm going to be talking about the strategy and, you know, what's next after those case study results came back from using LiveRank Sniper. And I'm just going to give you a little tease right now, because what I'm doing with those case studies is I'm extending them onto another product that we're going to be holding a webinar for in about 2 weeks that I'm seeing. And so essentially what I did was I took LiveRank Sniper, the case study results, or whatever LiveRank Sniper showed me as the keywords that I could rank for, and then I plugged them in to another software, another YouTube tool. We're going to be, again, introducing that to you guys in about 2 weeks. And I'm seeing some incredibly good results with it right now. So the case studies from LiveRank Sniper are going to carry on into this next tool that we're going to be showcasing. And I'm going to show you what I've done with the LiveRank Sniper keywords that I found, and then using the new tool and the results that I've been able to get. And it's really, really powerful. And I'm actually pretty excited. I've only got 1 out of 5 of those case studies completed right now. So I've got 4 more to do. And if the other 4 perform like this first one did, then we're really on to something. So we'll be announcing a little bit more about that next week, guys. Just know that there's something that's coming very, very soon. If you don't have LiveRank Sniper and you don't know what I'm talking about with the case studies, we'll go pick it up, because it's inexpensive and you can get access to the case studies just by purchasing it. And there's a whole bunch of unannounced bonuses in that bonus site once that we're not even going to tell you about. But if you purchase, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay. Okay, Adam, carry on. Sorry.
Why are we always giving so much stuff away?
I know. I know.
You get one, and you get one, and you get one. All right, that's about it. But we do want to say we sent out some emails about the RYS Stack webinar that's happening tomorrow. I'll put the link on the page. This is going to be a really cool and shorter webinar where we're going to go over some information about RYS stacks. You know, where you can use them, when you can use them, why you should be using them. Trust me, this is important. And then on top of that, how you can do this through SERPspace and get the done for you option. So if you haven't heard of RYS Academy, or you aren't sure what this is, well, I don't know. Do you guys want to go over that, just a quick elevator pitch on why people should be aware of the done for you services for RYS?
Yeah, because it's a huge time saver, and they're done to our specifications and the way that we build them. So it eliminates so much additional work. I mean, look, if you want to learn how to build your own stacks, especially if you're running like well, you know what? I used to say if you were running an agency that you should hire your own team members and then put them through the training courses so that they can produce them for you. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of learning curve and a lot of time that goes into first of all, hiring and training somebody. If you use our outsourced Kingpin training product, it'll streamline that quite a bit. But there's still a lot of time involved in actually getting them up to speed and trained well, and in managing them and all that kind of stuff. We've already got all that stuff done. The heavy lifting's done for you guys. If you order through us, it's going to be done. You don't have to worry about training or hiring or monitoring and managing and all of that. It just gets done. And so, we're going to be showcasing what RYS stacks or drive stacks are, why they're so effective, and how to order them through SERPspace. And Marco, you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, it took me a month to train Json, to get Json up to speed on building these. And so unless you want to spend the time to learn RYS and then an extra month to train the VA who might or might not work out, because you have to pick out the right VAs, right? You have to go, if you don't have the course that teaches you how, then you have to, it's like hit or miss. We have a way to identify the best of the best and then get those into the training area so that we finish with the very best. And so unless you have all that, I mean, we've done it for you. And so that's a very big deal as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, we're going to give away part of why it works tomorrow, and that flows right into the one that I'm doing on Monday, which is I'm going into the overall reason of Syndication Academy and RYS Academy, and why both should be part of the toolbox. It can be RYS Academy or Done For You RYS, either one, but it should be part of every build. And we'll follow that up tomorrow. We'll follow that up on Monday. I want to get into questions.
Awesome. All right, one just quick one that I saw this week. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it looks like on May 2nd, YouTube's ditching annotations. So anybody who's using annotations out there, you've got till May 2nd to edit or delete them, and then they are the way they are is the way they are. So if you use those and you want to change them or update, now's the time to do it.
Yep, they're moving into the mobile-friendly version of the end annotations, the end of the video annotations, and then you can use cards. That's clearly a move into a more mobile-optimized version of YouTube.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right.
Scott mentioned he had not found the live rank sniper bonus case study. Scott, if you purchased through us, you should have been added to the bonus site already. Check your spam folder. If perhaps you purchased it before we had the automation set up, just contact us at support@semanticmastery.com and provide the PayPal transaction ID so that we can verify the purchase, and then we'll add you to the membership site, the bonus site manually. Okay. So anybody having any issues with that, just contact us at support@semanticmastery.com. All right. Okay, cool. Can we get into questions now?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. I'm going to grab the screen. My audio will drop for a minute. Bear with me.
We'll just chat while Bradley's not here.
Yeah, we cannot bad mouth him because he has a good connection and he'll come back. Hey, Bradley, here you go.
Hey, shh, here he comes. Here he comes. Stop talking about him. All right. All right. You guys can see my screen now?
Yep. Got the whole screen.
All right, cool. All right. So, Aussie, I suppose. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly, so I apologize if I butchered it. Hi, all. As you mentioned last week, I can publish an expired site and link out from that expired site that I recovered from wayback, HTML version, to my money site to tier 1 properties or to tier 1 properties, which is the best option. That's going to depend on the domain that you pick up, Aussie. If you get a really clean domain and that has a good, all it needs is one good backlink pointed to it. That's it. Just one good. So if you're scraping domains and you're analyzing them prior to purchasing them, what you want to look for, first and foremost, more than anything else, don't worry about the metrics, the trust flow, topical trust flow, domain authority, page authority. Don't worry about any of that crap. First and foremost, look at what the content was on that site originally from the domain that you're picking up, and make sure it's relevant. If it's relevant to the niche that you're going to be placing the link on that rebuilt domain pointing to your money site, you want to make sure that it's that it's topically relevant. First and foremost, that's the most important thing to look at. The second most important thing, very next thing that you do, is go look at the backlink profile and make sure that they're clean backlinks, no spammy shit. You want to look at one thing that I like to do with Majestic is look at the map. When you look at the backlinks, the map, it'll show you where backlinks are coming from. And so typically if it's got backlinks coming from Russia or China or Korea, a lot of the times I won't even pick those domains up because it means it's been spammed. For the most part, the vast majority of the time it means it's been spammed. But you also just want to kind of just scroll through and take a look at the backlinks. Guys, I'll pick up expired domains. I don't do it near as much as I used to, but I will pick up expired domains that only have one backlink, because that's all that matters to me, especially if it's on what I like to do. Like, obviously, the more referring domains it has, the better. As far as, and let me try to explain this a little bit better. It used to be the more referring domains, the better. But that's not the case anymore, because what you're looking for is it's not quantity, it's quality, right? But what I worry about with buying domains with only a couple of backlinks pointed to them, or a couple of referring domains, it could have more than just a handful of backlinks, but if they're only coming from a couple domains, is what happens if the webmaster of the site that's linking to that domain finds out that the domain has been expired, or the content has changed, or whatever. And they can go in and remove that backlink. And now, especially if you've got a domain that's only got one or two referring domains pointed to it, then you've just lost whatever SEO value that it really had, right? But what I do is I go back and look at the Wayback Machine for the linking domain. In other words, the domain that's linking to the domain that I'm about to pick up or purchase. I'll look at that backlink and the history of how long that backlink has been there. And if it's been there for, let's say, 5 years or 2 years or whatever, if it's been there for any length of time, then I suspect that it will likely stay there. It's unlikely that that backlink is going to be removed. And so I just want to make sure that the linking domain has some history for how, like, that backlink has been there for some period of time. And depending on how desperate I am for expired domains for that particular niche will determine how far back I'll go to cross that threshold to where it'll make it worthy of my purchase, or let's say I abandon it because the backlink's too new. You know what I mean? But the other part of that is, it used to be also that you would look at the backlink profile and you would worry about backlinks dropping from the domain if you picked up an expired domain and then rebuilt the site, which is how we used to do it, right? We used to do that with private blog network sites or PBN sites, right? We would go out, buy expired domains because of their metrics, strip we would install a new WordPress site, install new content. A lot of the times it wouldn't even be in the same niche. Well, then that's very, very likely that other linking domains that are pointed to it are going to remove the backlink if a webmaster goes and views that link and takes a look at the destination site, which ends up being the domain that you rebuilt, and it's got some other content on it, it's not in the same niche or same whatever, they're going to remove that link. But when you're building expired domains, when you're rebuilding expired domains with the content that was on them when they expired, then even if a webmaster were to look, they're going to see the same site that they linked to originally anyways. Does that make sense? So my point is, when it comes to buying what I call PLN or private link network sites, instead of private blog network sites, they're private link network sites because they're not really blogs. They're not WordPress, right? They're HTML sites. As I look for relevancy, number one, number two, a clean backlink profile. And if it meets those two criteria, then I'll research the backlinks that are pointed to it to see what their age is on that. And if they've got any length of time or history, then I'll go ahead and pick up that domain. Okay. And it can be used for money site or tier 1 properties. The cleaner, the more relevant, the closer you can get to your money site, or even point directly to your money site. If there's any question, or if it's not necessarily in the same niche, like if it doesn't cover the same topic, if it's a little bit broader, or it's like a tangent market or something like that, then I would use it as a tier 1, a link to tier 1 properties instead. You guys have a comment on that?
Yeah. If I can just add something, I have two, well, actually three. They turn into being three things. We now have a Dedia and a Dr. Gary, who are really good at spotting the domains that we need, and they're niche relevant, right? They add the relevance that we want, so we don't go through that process any longer unless we have to or unless we want to. Yeah. The second thing is, if you don't do your due diligence with these domains, you're going to tank your rankings. If you point it at your money site and you didn't do it right, you're going to see it go in the shitter. Like, it's almost overnight. So you have to make sure that you know what you're doing. If you don't and you still pick one up, go to tier 1. Go where right. you at least have a layer of protection until you actually know what you're doing, because you learn over time, right? You learn to spot them, and you learn to spot what's actually spam and what isn't. So once you're that good, then you can say, okay, I'm going to pick this one up and I'm going to point it at the money site, and you're going to see wonderful results. But that once you're experienced. If you're not, don't do it. Don't do it unless you want to see your tank go in the. I mean, you want to see your site go in the dumper. Then by all means, go ahead.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks. Ivan's up. He says, hey, guys, just joined the Syndication Academy. Hump Day Hangouts is great stuff. Free stuff helped me a lot, but the full training is awesome. I will +1 that. Maybe this question will be answered during the course, but here it is. Is it worth the time and effort to put things like Schema Markup, local business, Json LD, JavaScript, etc. into the tier 1 blog components like WordPress and Blogger? I mean, treating those properties like they were money sites. Thank you. Looking forward to Marco's webinar and SM RYS Secrets. Yeah, Ivan, to be clear, yes, it would help to put for your branded properties, especially, right? To, like you said, to treat your branded properties like money sites. You guys should be doing that anyways. try to flesh out your branded properties as much as possible. And if you can add markup, then do it. Now, look, listen, let's be real clear. Like I want to make it clear to you guys, I don't do that on all the properties that I set up, because a lot of the networks I set up don't require that. They're used for, syndication or SEO purposes only, whatever. But for like client sites and I'll be honest with you, a lot of my lead gen sites, I don't even have that set up because it's just so time consuming. I probably should have a VA that does it for me, but I don't. So I only do it like for client sites really, and a few of my lead gen sites. I don't do it on all of them, but absolutely you can. Now, here's the thing though. A lot of those are going to strip any sort of structured data out anyways. So that's the problem, is trying to add structured data to these, because it ends up getting stripped out by the editor, right? By the platform itself. And so that's really where it's tricky. Now, if you can, like, for example, if you can go in and add like where you would add analytics code, for example, in the header and things like that. If you can go in and edit those fields within the platform, then yeah, you can add JSON LD code. Whether it validates or not, you'd have to check. Okay. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, one thing that I've been able to do in the past, and it's been a while since I've done it, so I can't even remember which platform it was on, but not using JSON LD, but you had to use microdata, which microdata is like, it's structured data, but in HTML format. So you can mark up elements within an editor. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the times it depends on the platform, and I can't remember which ones they were off the top of my head, but it will strip it right out. So you just got to don't waste your time without checking first. Go test a few of the sites and see, unless Marco or Hernan, if you guys know the ones off the top of your head that will accept that. I don't know them off the top of my head.
No, not off the top of my head, and the ones that I do know are not ones that I care to talk about at this point.
Okay.
Right. Well, for example, if I may, Marco, Blogger, I know that it will accept JSON LD, JavaScript, pretty much everything that you throw at it, like on HTML, because you can actually edit the template, the theme. So you can edit the template, you can edit the theme. Weebly will do it too, in case you're syndicated to Weebly. So there's a bunch of those that they will accept HTML. Blogger for sure, Weebly pretty much. I think Tumblr as well, but we have abused Tumblr, and for that reason, it's not that permissive anymore. And we are 100%, we are 100% responsible of that. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, basically those three, I think they will accept HTML. In any case, on the update webinars, we're always looking for new platforms, and what's good about it is that we will uncover either Web 2.0 or live stream sites, or semantic hubs as we call them, where you can actually add schema, or you can actually embed a bunch of things like my maps, a bunch of things. So stay tuned, Ivan, and go through the past trainings, the past update webinars, because there's a ton of gold in them, and there's a ton of properties that will actually accept that if you need a push, or if you need to rank those properties on page one as well. Yeah,
if you want, I'm gonna name one here, guys, and before Marco and the crew all get mad at me, I'm not gonna name what you have to be in Syndication Academy to get the full training on this. I'm just gonna make a mention of one that's really, really powerful, that you can do all kinds of nasty stuff with, Ivan. And since you're in Syndication Academy, you can find it. It was in the update webinar from 3 or 4 months ago, but it's called Pearl Trees. That's a great tier 1 property because you can do all kinds of nasty stuff in there. So go back and watch that webinar. It's one of the Semantic Hub or additional properties inside of the update webinar from, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago. So just go back and take a look. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's some real ninja stuff you can do with schema markup and all kinds of stuff with the Pearl Tree site. Okay. Guys, I didn't just give away too much, did I? I tried to tread lightly.
I know that you feel like giving more, but yeah, we're fine. That's a nugget.
Yeah, good. I just want to make sure I wasn't going to get in trouble later. All right, Paul's up. He says, Bradley, what are your thoughts on what ways can I use Google's trust indicator like go.gl short link on an AdWords PPC landing page? I have a hunch it might help boost trust and authority, higher quality scores, etc. Your thoughts and or recommendation? Linking to the landing page on or from the page itself, etc. Thanks. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I have not tested that, but you're talking about taking your landing page URL and shortening it with a go.gl short link and then using that as your landing page URL in AdWords. Now, I haven't tested that. My initial thoughts or assumptions would be that it wouldn't have an effect on quality score, only because what I have seen through my own testing for the last year with AdWords stuff is that quality score is a function of two things, really. Number one, your bid, your max bid is one. And then the other thing, which has the most effect on quality score, is going to be your click-through rate of your ad itself. So those are the things, those two things. Now, your landing page experience, like, honestly, I have played with multiple versions of landing pages trying to affect the quality score from that. And it has a very minimal effect on quality score. As long as your landing page has basically some basic elements to it, that's all that's required. And then obviously you want to have the keyword, like, especially like in the SEO title or whatever, even though it's an AdWords, you still want it in like the meta title of the page. But that's really it. As far as everything else, the bid max bid amount, that's going to have an effect on quality score to a degree. But the vast majority of the quality score metric is calculated by click-through rate. And that's going to be determined by always split testing ads and trying to improve your click-through rate. And just as a side note, there's a lot of industries, guys, that you'll get into. And I know because as my experience continues to grow in AdWords, I see it now more and more. At first, I didn't understand why sometimes I would set up ads in one campaign and they would have quality scores of 3 and 4. And then I would set up the same type of ads with the same type of landing page, like as far as the elements, but for different keywords. Okay, so in a different industry. And I would start off with quality scores of 5 or even 7. And sometimes as much within a day or two, they'd go up to 8 or 9 or even quality scores of 10. And I would wonder, why is that? Like what? And so that's when I started really playing around with different things that I would try to manipulate quality score with. And your max cost per click bid is one. Another one that Marco gave me a hint at, I wasn't able to prove it, was increasing your budget, your daily budget as well. But I wasn't able to prove that. And it's probably because I didn't go extreme enough. So we won't talk about that much. But I tried playing with landing pages as well. And I couldn't manipulate quality score more than just like a point from landing pages. But once I started really honing in click-through rates, which is always the strategy for that is just constantly always be split testing your ads and trying to achieve the highest click-through rate. So run 2 ads concurrently, split test your ads. So run 2 concurrently and let it run until you've generated either a certain number of clicks or you've allowed them to, to test against each other for a certain amount of time. It's usually a function of volume of clicks, right? So like, let's say I want to allow 30 clicks to this ad, and then I'm going to go back and take a look and see which ones had the higher click-through rate. Then you keep the one with the higher click-through rate and you pause or eliminate the one that had the lower click-through rate. And now you write a new ad to split test against your control, right? The one that just performed better. And you constantly refine until you get your quality or your click-through rate up. And here's the thing, what I was saying just a moment ago about, starting off with different ad groups and seeing how some would have low quality scores right off the bat and others ones would have higher. And that's based on when you start a new campaign, guys, AdWords will give you like a mean or a baseline quality score based upon the industry average or the average for the quality score average for that industry. And so if you're in a space where you're running AdWords campaigns where there's a lot of shitty advertisers, in other words, advertisers that don't know what they're doing and aren't optimizing their campaigns, your campaign's going to start off with a low quality score. And that's only because that's like the mean or the median in the industry average, if that makes sense. So the only way to get your click-through rate, or excuse me, your quality score up is to start improving your click-through rate to get well above and beyond what the industry average is. And once you do that, and I don't know what that number varies depending on every industry. But for example, if I can get a click-through rate up to say like 30% in the tree service industry, my quality scores are going to be 8 to 10, hands down every time. But if I keep my click-through rate down around the 10 to 15%, which I believe is pretty standard for the industry, then my quality scores are going to be anywhere, they're going to range between 5 and 7. But once you get to 7 and 8, 8 and above, you really get much lower costs, and you get the higher quality, the higher ad rank and all that. So I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I wanted to explain. I haven't tested using the the Google short link as a landing page, as the landing page URL. I don't think it would have an effect, but I haven't tested it. And I just wanted to explain, really what the quality score, the biggest influence on quality score is going to be click-through rate.
All right. So can I just mention something that I picked up from what you just said and from what he's trying to say? Mm-hmm. If click-through rate is a factor for quality score, and you have a Google URL showing, that's
wouldn't it entice more clicks? Is that what you're going to say?
Hey, and wouldn't it thereby increase your quality score? And we actually show that in Inside RYS Academy. Isn't that something?
That's actually that's a really great idea, and that's something that I wasn't even considering when I was answering this. But that's a good point, Paul. If you have that goo.gl short link, it's going to be basically a Google URL that might be deemed more trustworthy by the searcher or the visitor, right? So it might end up generating a higher click-through rate, like Marco just said. Test it, Paul. Test it and let me know. In fact, I might even test that on a couple campaigns just to see. In which case, I don't know where I'll share it. Ask me again at a later date, Paul. I just want to give a quick recommendation. This is not an affiliate link, guys, but there is this is a really cool site. I think it's say 10 scores. Okay, 10scores.com. Check this out. This is they got this big pop-up here. Let me close this. I forget how to close this damn thing. Right there. Okay, so 10 scores. This is a great service. It's really cheap. It's like $25 for 5,000 keywords or something like that. It's ridiculous. You can view plans and pricing here. 50,000 active keywords, up to 5 AdWords accounts for $25 a month. Guys, this is really cheap. Most of the AdWords optimization platforms are really expensive, and this one is dirt cheap. And I really like it because this is really what turned me on to, I finally started believing that click-through rate was the biggest influencer of quality score once I started following the 10 score blog, and then I ended up purchasing it, and I've started using it for some of the AdWords accounts that I manage, and I started seeing actual real results by just manipulating click-through rate. I saw real improvements in quality score just by doing what this blog tells me to do, and then I started using the service on some of my accounts, and it absolutely is true. And for a while there, I just didn't believe that click-through rate was the biggest influencer on quality score until, like I said, and then, by the way, there's a great blog on this site too. Read our blog right there. The guy, his name's Christian, I think, the main, I guess the guy that owns this or whatever. It's a great blog. He's got some awesome articles in here about how to improve AdWords campaigns. So highly recommend that you guys, even if you don't purchase the product or whatever, they're subscribed to it. Just go through and start paying attention to these blog posts. Subscribe to the blog because he really's got some great stuff. Okay. All right, moving on. Tim's up. Did not get a chance to say thank you for answering my question last week. You guys rock. Always over delivering on the answers. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Tim. Our pleasure.
Thanks, Tim. But now the real Vasquez is here, so watch out.
That's right. The real Vasquez. Paul's up. He says, for the iFrame stacking webinar by Marco, he mentioned that we can exploit with our keywords before the closing tag, the iFrame tag. What's the maximum number of keywords we can or should add there?
That's information from a paid webinar. I'm not sharing it here.
Okay, there you go. Let's see. Also, what's your take on using exact geolocation keyword phrases that would otherwise cause over-optimization with regular SEOs? Okay, same thing. Paul, we're going to have another webinar on Monday, right? Is that right?
Yes, we are, but it doesn't involve iframes. It's a follow-up.
Okay.
But you can ask questions at the end of the webinar. I might answer it.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's why I was mentioning it, because that is an RYS type webinar, so that'd be a good place for it. James is up. He says, client just got a new location, brick and mortar shop, wants me to build citations, but when I Google the address, the old business that occupied the spot shows up. When I Google the address, the old business that shows up. How do I go about getting this done without the old NAP affecting my citations? Let's see. Oh, I just got a new client. Just got a new location. Okay, client just got a new location, wants me to build citations, but when I Google the address, the old business that occupied the spot shows up. Okay, so what you're saying is there's still citations out there. Okay, I see what you're saying, James. All right, I'm going to share with you a link. It's semanticmastery.com/Loganix. In fact, let's just type it out. This, guys, this is the service I use for any sort of anytime I got a citation or NAP issues, I always go to these guys for this, because they, hands down, if it's a U.S. business, it's the best service for this, and it's the citation cleanup service. So if we go to semanticmastery.com/Loganix, that's LOGANIX. It'll take you over here, and then go to the services, and it's the citation cleanup service right here. It's $500 for it, but it's totally worth it, guys, because they will do at least in the U.S. market, they do hands down the best job I've ever come across, and I've had to do this many, many times over my career. I've hired virtual assistants and trained them how to do this manually. None of it has ever been as good as what these guys do, and they do it very efficiently. And so, again, I highly recommend that you check out Loganix. Again, it's $500, but if you are dealing, when you're pitching a client or prospecting, right, and you go give the pitch, you should already know this, right? You should already know that there's NAP issues if you've done your research, and you should work the cost of something like this into your proposal. So, and then plus one markup, right? Because you've got to manage it. So if Loganix charges $500 for this, then I'd be charging the client, every bit of $750 or $1,000 for the same thing, and that's citation cleanup, right? And that's because you should be marking it up. You're going to be the one managing the project. So just so you know, this is absolutely the service that I use for that. That's the best way to get around it. Okay, James, because it's not something, trust me, that you want to do. And like I said, I've even hired virtual assistants and trained them how to do it, and they're still nowhere near as efficient as just having Loganix do it. So it's worth the money. Okay, that's the first thing I would do is get. I would hire them to clean that up, by the way, because they can go act. What they'll do is they'll literally reach out to all the business directories that have the old business location in there, or whatever the problem is, and they will contact the business directories and manually and ask them to update the records, and they'll provide the proper data. And then about 70% of the business directories will update based upon their outreach. Okay, and that's going to. I'd clean up before you even start building new citations to the client site, because that's otherwise like you're just spinning your wheels, right? Building new citations when there's NAP issues isn't going to help. You need to clean up old and incorrect NAP incongruent NAP data first. You got to clean that up first, or else you won't see any results. Right? Paul's up. He says, Bradley, when you go about securing virtual address for your lead gen sites for GMB, are there any issues with getting more than one address at the same post office, say for 3 to 4 different niches? How do you circumvent this if it's a problem? Paul, I haven't run into any problems with that, because every single box that I get is a unique box number. So it counts as a unique address. Okay. I've got some post offices where I've got several different businesses in that exact same post office. And it hasn't caused any problems for me because it's a unique address. Just don't be cheap and try to get one box and use it for 6 businesses. Don't do that. The PO boxes are cheap enough that you don't need to do that. You can get a separate box for every business. All right, that's what I do. I get a separate box for every business. Ken says, where can I find the Google My Business URL? Ken, there isn't one anymore. Well, you get the Google Plus URL, and remember, there's brand accounts and there's local accounts, and so you can get a Google Plus URL for those. But the Google My Business URL is the Maps URL now, right? So go to Google Maps, search your business. You already know how to do this, but for the benefit of everybody else, let me do it. So go to Maps, type your business name in. So we're going to type in Semantic Mastery and Gainesville right there. This is our local right here. This is our local listing. And then you just click the share URL. You can use the short URL, that's fine, and it's a goo.gl short URL right there with the maps in it. Okay? That's your Google My Business listing URL now. Or you can use the Google Plus, but the Google Plus one doesn't, like, this is where you want to send, like, this is actually your Google My Business URL now, is the maps URL. because all of the data and everything is right here. The reviews, everything is all here. Okay, it's no longer a Google Plus URL. That is, I guess in the back end they're connected somehow, in in the basement of the Google building they're connected somewhere. But it's the Maps URL now is the GMB listing. Okay. Next. Ryan, let's see. He says, I've been contacted by a salesperson to do some content marketing with the following site. Okay. The gist of the campaign, I guess, is what they will take existing content that is already hosted on my site and curate the content and host it on their site for SEO traffic. I got the curated version of the content and noticed that the article isn't altered much at all other than changing words to past tense and swapping out some words using synonyms. So basically they spun it a bit. My question is this legit SEO practice? It feels like cheating Google or trying to trick Google. How does this site rank articles to get SEO traffic when their URLs are defined by parameters? In other words, they're not pretty links. Is there any value of having people read your content on other domains that you can't capture leads, data, remarket? Still can't grasp the concept of having people read content on someone else's domain. All right, the only thing, and I'd love to get some comments from my partners on this as well, but the only thing I could see would be of any value of doing that would be for the backlinks if they're properly citing the source. In other words, if this website that curates, in air quotes, they curate content and all they're doing is republishing your articles, if they're attributing, giving proper attribution, so they're citing your website as the original source and they're giving you a backlink, I could see that possibly having some value. You'd have to check though, like, right, the domain metrics, the relevancy, all of that. But that's the only thing that I could see. The only benefit that I could see. In fact, the fact that they're just basically taking your article and spinning it a little bit and then republishing it is, in my opinion, would throw up a red flag. I would avoid doing it altogether. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, unless they are writing the domain, unless, as you correctly stated, unless they are citing the source, like leaving a live backlink, even if it's not a live backlink, even if it is www.domain.com, that counts as a citation as well, So because Google will actually input that domain, even if it's not linked, it doesn't carry the same amount of link juice, and you need to be constantly surrounded by authority content and on an authority context, if you would, like for example, doctors or scientists that they do not have a website, etc., but they are their names are being put on papers, etc. For example, on Google Scholar, those guys, those names become influencers at some point, and the same happen. That's the Internet of Things. That's why we call semantic mastery, because when you start having your domain, even if it's not linked, but surrounded by other authority domains, you start, robbing some of that authority as well. Even again, if it's not linked, if it's linked, way better. But that has to be natural, and that has to be done in a massive way, if you would, for it to get any insights or any to noticeably affect your rankings, if you would. So I don't think I would do that. If anything, I would just try to curate the content, as Bradley was saying, but in a more curated way, not only changing the verbs to past tense. That doesn't cut it.
Because
if you're doing, go ahead.
I just want to jump in real quick, guys, because remember, when you curate content, you don't change the content from the source that you're curating. You don't change it, because then you're not curating. Then you're spinning, and that's bad. That's a no-no. Like, I don't use spun shit to link to anything at like any sort of money site, right? When curating, guys, you're supposed to grab a piece of content and not alter it in any way, because if you alter it, now you're actually plagiarizing, right? Because you're changing content and rewording it, and then treating it as if it's your own. Or if you're citing the source and it's different, then that's not the same either, right? So you shouldn't be altering the content at all if you're curating. And if these guys are just spinning your content and republishing, to me it seems like they're just stealing your damn content. So
not only that, the canonical points to their domain, not his.
Yep.
And so it's just totally grabbing what he produced. As you said, it's spun content. The metrics are great. So unless he's getting a link, but what I'm seeing is the interlinking and everything is to their own. They do a great job of interlinking, but if they're linking out to you and I mean, Google, the one thing that they're really good at is picking out spun content.
Yeah.
And this can get you in a lot of trouble, especially since the canonical is pointing to their page and not yours.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
And again, it should be your original piece that you wrote, posted on their website saying this article originally appeared, and that takes care of everything with the canonical going over to your website. I mean, that's the way that it should be properly done. If not, then the only ones that are benefiting from this is them. They're making it look like your article isn't the original article and that you actually spun. Because they have actually more trust and authority than you do. So
yeah, I mean, without doing more research, Ryan, on it myself, I would suggest against it. Like, you're going to get contacted, guys, by promising, things that sound promising all the time. Now that you guys are, if you're in the digital marketing space, it's going to happen. You're going to get contacted. We get contacted all the time. Semantic Mastery does, about like with all kinds of like just scammy shit that sounds promising, but when you do some real investigation, you find out that it's all. It's most of it is bullshit, right? And it's way to find. Because they contact guys, they do this. It's a numbers game, right? They blanket out these sorts of sales messages, and inexperienced people that don't know any better will think, "Oh man, this sounds awesome," and they'll do it. Well, guess who? There's only one entity that benefits from that, and that's the company that solicited for the salespeople to do that, right? Does that make sense? Most people aren't going to benefit from that, because a lot of the times, like what Marco just looked at the site and he's looking at the canonicals and internal linking. They're benefiting, but I don't see how, Ryan, your site is benefiting at all. And that's what I'm saying is, we turn down those kind of offers all the time. I used to actually look at a lot of them, but then I realized that 99% of them are just bullshit offers that aren't going to benefit us in any way. And unsuspecting people will think, "Oh man, that sounds awesome," and then they'll do it, and then all they end up doing is promoting or improving the other company's assets and reducing their own. Okay, so I recommend against it, but without any further research, I can't speak exactly to it, but I don't think that I would do that. Okay, James is up. He says, can you breathe life into a PBN by using FCS to send social traffic or links to the pages that you don't own, that power up your PBN, and do you think that's a good idea? Okay, sending just social links isn't going to help much, guys. I found, especially within the last year and a half, that like spam social signals really have little to no effect at all on ranking or anything. Sending real social signals, that has a huge impact. And so what I mean by that is sending traffic would absolutely help. So queue up crowd search, right? Adam, that's a cue for you. Drop the crowd search link, guys, because that absolutely works. I've been talking about sending social traffic using crowd search through sending traffic through social properties, as well as like PBN links and all of that kind of stuff for a year and a half or 2 years now, because I've been using it that way that's primarily how I use it. I use it for navigational searches, which are brand searches, because that helps to improve site weight and increases the authority of the site, the brand authority. Okay. And I also do a lot of referral traffic through social media sites, through citations, through press releases, and through PBNs or other external links is what I'm saying. Not necessarily, they don't have to be PBNs. So if you, like, for example, if you have, a guest post somewhere, you can send click-through spam traffic to the guest post and then have them click the link over to your site that's within the content of the guest post. That's going to, and here's the key, guys, especially if you have access to the properties, if you control the properties that you're sending the social traffic through to ultimately land on your money site. If you have analytics on your site, it's going to be picked up as referral traffic anyways. But if you don't have analytics on your site, use a goo.gl short link, because then you're allowing Google, you're injecting analytics into that link. goo.gl short links do that. And so that way you can basically force Google to recognize that you're getting referral traffic from citations or social media properties or whatever, press releases, anything. So you can essentially inject analytics right into the link itself. So again, and I know Adam's telling me 5 minutes. Again, I wouldn't recommend sending just fake social links, because social links and social signals are different. So social links, that'll help a little bit, but social signals, they really don't, like spam social signals, I don't see them as having any value anymore whatsoever, other than to just give the appearance of social proof for visitors. But that's not an SEO thing. That's a human thing, right? But as far as traffic absolutely will help. So you can do that, and you can use crowd search that'll automate it for you.
Yeah, for Google to pay attention, a link needs three things, right? It needs activity on activity on the link, relevancy of the link, and the trust and authority of the link. If you're manipulating those three, it better be done right, or you're in trouble. Yep. So, just keep in short.
All right, we got 2 more questions, and we're going to run through both of these just because, then that will wrap it up, because it looks like we answered all the questions that were posted prior to the webinar starting. So Tom's up. He says, YouTube silo question. If you have a main silo for a broad keyword, say plumbers, that is made up of videos of different companies, i.e. different locations, do you still link from one video to the next? That's a good question. I'd have to think about that one, Tom. Honestly, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. It depends on the silo itself, like what type of relevancy I'm trying to push where. Okay, if that makes sense. I don't know that I would do it with separate companies, because I typically keep my playlist silos separated by company. For the most part, I have a few old directory sites that I still manage that have more that aren't necessarily structured that way. But I've seen better results because I try to compartmentalize. And from an SEO standpoint, there probably is some benefit to that, Tom. But what I'm always worried about is a visitor coming, like somebody, like let's say you have company A and company B. Company A, you've got their video ranked, and company B, maybe you have their video ranked too, and they're both linking to each other in the descriptions in the playlist, right? They're both in the same playlist and they both link to each other. Then I don't want a customer viewing the video, so a lead, right? A lead viewing the video and then clicking the link to a competitor. Even if the competitor is in a different city, which means they wouldn't provide services, it's just a distraction for that. So I like to try to separate that stuff. But, from an SEO standpoint, yeah, there probably is some benefit to that, but I don't like commingling client accounts that way, if that makes sense. But I'd have to think about that one a little bit further, Tom. So, but to give you a real definitive answer, I just can give you my preference, and that would be to not do it. But from an SEO standpoint, I can see some benefit. Tom says, I know it's technically what makes a silo, but I wonder if clients would frown upon that. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't even see that part till just now. That's exactly why I wouldn't do it. And again, guys, like SEO, like you want to strike a balance between doing things for SEO and doing things to keep your clients happy and humans happy, right? And so I try to always strike that balance. And when in doubt, err on the side of humans, not machines. Does that make sense? And so that's, in this case, I would, just for the client relationship, I would probably advise against it. Last one, Dr. Brian McKay. What are your thoughts on images and PBN having a link back to the main site as an additional linking opportunity? Yeah, sure. Brian, when I used to do a lot of PBN work, I would do that a lot because, guys, the anchor text for an image link is your alt text, right? And so you can use images, and I did that a lot, in fact. That way it would give my sites that I was linking to from the PBNs a more natural link profile anyways, right? Because I would be using image links, and then I would use, the anchor text essentially is the alt text of the image. And so I wouldn't spam them, but it just would give a nice variety. And so you absolutely can do that as another linking opportunity. Just remember, guys, like alt text is supposed to be, and I've been doing this for years now, but alt text is supposed to be like, I know for SEO purposes, we stuff keywords in there and that kind of stuff. But alt text was originally generated for people that were visually impaired right? They can't see very well. And there's programs that will read web pages aloud, so they're audible, right? And so alt text is a way for those type of programs to describe the image, what the image is. And so I always try to optimize my images with a descriptive phrase of what the image is about. And of course I try to work a keyword in there, but I try to make that alt text as descriptive of the image as possible. And I've found that that has a better SEO effect because it doesn't trigger over optimization, and it's more natural based upon what it was originally intended for, if that makes sense. Okay. You guys have any comment on that before we wrap up?
I think you nailed it.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, sorry we ran out of time, but it is what it is.
It's all good. I think that was a good one. I just want to remind everybody, if you're new, keep coming to the Hump Day Hangouts. If you're not new, keep coming to the Hump Day Hangouts. And if you haven't yet, by all means, check out the Syndication Academy. I'll pop the link back on there. But we want you guys to check it out. I think it's a fantastic starting place, and we'll be getting good feedback from people, but we weren't doing our part in letting enough people knowing about it. So we want to fix that.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, everybody. No additional webinars today. So we'll see everybody tomorrow for the RYS webinar, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Y'all be there or be spread. Okay. Yep. Bye, guys. Everyone have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.